Well, hello everyone. It's good to see you. Welcome to this week's roundtable all about change. How are you doing, Dean?
Good, good.
Excellent. 28 degrees, you say, in your neck of the
I
woods?
thought it was 24.
24. Okay. Well, Jonathan, it's not 24 in California. How are you today?
It is not 24. I don't even know exactly the temperature, but it is on the colder side. But
It
it is
is.
cozy. I mean, I am cozy, but outside
Outside it's cold.
pretty
Here in
cold.
Texas, we had a cold morning too. It was 40. As I was putting bird seed out for the birds. I'm like, you birds better appreciate this because it's cold out here this morning. So today we're going to talk about change, and I look forward to discussing that with you. Let's go straight into our little setup. I um I don't know if there's anything other than breathing that's more common in the human experience than change. So all of us go through it. We grow up, we move, we go through school, we leave the house, we get jobs. I mean, change is just built in. And some people go through a lot of change, some not so much. Some people find it disruptive. Some get pretty good at change. They actually like to switch things up and not have everything be the same all the time. So we're going to talk about that today. Okay, here's our first meme. Here's an octopus, me learning to let go. I'm doing it. He released one of his 8 arms. I'm doing it. So to have a jumping off point for our discussion, we can invite people to learn their style of change, that they can think about choosing outcomes, like keeping the end in mind. I'm doing this because I want to get to this place or arrive at this outcome. Part of change is letting go of the old. So we may miss or we may regret things that are no longer with us or a part of our lives, but we have to learn to let go of that as a part of change. We can identify next steps. What's my first step? What's my second step? We can allow enough time. I think as we chat, and we'll learn that some people want change to happen faster than maybe it does. And different things we go through take different amounts of time. So having enough time in the equation can help us with our patience while we get through a change. Doing some research about maybe how other people have navigated a similar change and then how to get help. Of course, coaching is help, but there's lots of other kinds of help. So I'm going to stop sharing here. We'll look at memes towards the end of our get together today. Dean, would you like to kick us off? Do you help people learn how to navigate change by their own change styles, or when someone's facing a change, kind of where do you start?
Well, because of the kind of way I structure a lot of my coaching, I always begin every coaching relationship by making clear that the point here is to change, right? Like, well, that's what we are doing here. And the reason that people come to me is because they're having trouble in some way changing on their own.
Mhm,
And that might be because their goals are not clear enough. They don't know exactly what change they're trying to make.
mhm,
It may be that they know what needs to happen, but can't figure out why they continually undermine themselves in the process of that change.
mhm,
It might also be that there are external factors that keep them from changing, particularly their relationship. So, if a person needs and wants to change, but is in a relationship with someone close to them who does not want them to change, then they have other issues.
mhm, mhm,
And so from the beginning, I just try to lay out that that is what we're doing here. And that's how we measure our success is by the level of change made. And so, obviously that puts everything in a bit of a precarious position because as a coach, you can't change anyone. So there's a sense in which the work depends entirely on the client.
mhm,
I I have a number of strategies with that, but I thought I'd share one. And I like to use a strategy for even for myself a lot in changes I'm trying to make that is a little bit related to the strategy James Clear puts out in Atomic Habits. I'm sure you know.
mhm. A wonderful book we recommended, Atomic Habits.
But one of the things I say to people is, if you want to make a change, What matters most is that you make a change so small that you will actually do it
Mm.
and do it consistently. And people don't really want to hear that because lots of people cling to a kind of comforting fantasy that they will change. Okay, maybe it'll take 2 or 3 days, but they will change entirely the kind of person they are, and they will reap rewards of being a different kind of person by the end of the week. And you see that a lot in when people talk about their New Year's resolutions. Part of the problem is that I'm going to start getting up at 5 in the morning, having a protein shake, and going to the gym 6 days a week.
They
Okay.
can't walk by day 7, by the way.
Right.
Everything is so sore.
And that kind of change is much easier to imagine than it is to consistently do.
Mhm,
And so the approach I like to take with people is to sort of demand that they be more honest with themselves about what they will actually do.
mhm,
And so maybe the thing is you're just gonna get up 5 minutes earlier.
mhm.
You're not gonna go to the gym. You're not gonna have a protein shake. You're gonna get up 5 minutes earlier.
Mhm,
Or to ask yourself, what is the what is the change you can make that's so small that the part of you that resists that change can't undermine it?
mhm. You're
And
you're describing how people can learn how they do change.
right, sure.
Where is your barrier? And let's be working on the other side of that and then break through instead of try to leap all of them, in a week.
It's hard for people to understand when they're real, especially if they're in a crisis and they need to change fast. My wife is going to leave and I need to change fast. It's
Mhm,
hard for people to accept
mhm,
that it is, in fact, the very emphasis you're putting on changing facts that keeps you from changing. And it's that energy, that anxious, willful energy that where you want to be kind of the person in control of the process and deciding, oh, it will happen this week, as opposed to sort of finding that level of growth that you can sustain over a long period of time.
mhm.
And I think it's easy for people to think that they do that what they do is a kind of rational choice, when in fact it's much more like a plant that is growing in the wrong direction that has to have someone manually turn it toward the sun every day over and over and over for a long time until it starts to grow straighter.
Mhm.
And so
You help them
maybe
come to
there's
terms with
yes,
this may be what it's going to be like for you. Let's see.
right, right. And that's the other thing is to tracking your internal and external progress.
Mhm. Jonathan, I sometimes feel like when I get a call from a client, I'm their last resort. They've tried everything and they're actually going to have to pay someone to help them to do this now. The things they've tried didn't work, or they didn't work enough, or it's, as Dean says, they don't feel like the speed of their change is what they want it to be. So I know when they work with you on alchemical hypnosis, they might be thinking, well, my conscious mind is not pulling this off. Jonathan can work with my unconscious mind and give me a head start. So, what is it like for you? Do some people come as a last resort?
As a last resort, yes, I am. I can see why you feel that way with some clients because
Mhm.
it actually reminds me of the song. There's a Michael Jackson song. This topic, it's "The Man in the Mirror."
Yeah, the man in
Beautiful
the mirror. We'll put a
way to
link in.
describe.
Yeah.
Um, because yeah, usually when we want to change something like a situation, we don't apply the changes towards like ourselves. Usually we want to manipulate the external first because taking uh like charge or responsibility of our own stuff, it's more
Yes.
difficult.
Hmm.
One of the things that I've noticed is that change can be terrifying sometimes. For a lot of humans, change is very like it's terrifying. It's a terrifying experience. So I think understanding that change is the only thing that is for sure going to happen. It's a
Mhm.
great way to start. Like understanding like the basics. I have personally like met older people than I am, and they have told me like I just don't like change. Like I cannot even like no, I don't even want to change my phone, my laptop, like nothing. Everything has my car, everything has to stay the same.
Mhm.
Um, so I think a great way to start is like understanding the lesson, because it's one of the first lessons that somebody should like teach us. Like everything is going to change. Our
Mhm.
bodies are going to change, our environment is going to change. We have like seasons that change every year, like cycles. So
Mhm.
understanding that change is inevitable, it's a great way to start, because then you're not fighting reality. Because if we start fighting reality, then that's when it gets tricky. Because no matter how much or like how hard you try to fix the exterior circumstances,
Mhm.
it's never going to be enough. Because if you don't make the changes necessary, like on the inside, nothing really changes that much on the outside. It might appear like it. It's like kind of like a makeup, but
Yeah.
then like the Cinderella, after 12 goes by, no? So,
The slippers come off.
yes.
Well, I think if you ask clients to come to terms with, we actually can't make it stay the same forever. Like there's no way to stop time. We can have it be similar. We can have much of it be the same, but time marches on and it doesn't ask your permission. The
Mhm.
changes come. So if you want to cooperate with change, that's a better strategy than trying to stop time, never let things change. I think about the difference in people. There are some people who put their big toe in the water to check the temperature, and some people do a cannonball into the water, I'm going for it. So most people are in between there somewhere, but if you can learn the way that you navigate change, then that can, give your coach information to help you structure a program of change that you're going to more easily cooperate with, get where you want to go. I was telling a client the other day, he was complaining that things weren't changing fast enough. And I said, your expectations are out here. As you said, Dean, in a week, you want all your new classmates to be friends. Yeah, that
Mhm.
never happens. It's not literally possible. They don't know your name by the end of the week, let alone be your friend. So you're going to fail at this expectation that actually can't be achieved. So I think some of what we do is set expectations so they're achievable. And then, we could say, well, what did you try to do in this week or the 2 weeks since we've talked? And yeah, you got most of that done. So life is not instant soup. It's not microwavable and ready in 5 minutes. Some of it takes longer. So, but identifying steps that they could take. I know Dean, in the process where I work with clients, usually there's a hitch in the get along about the steps. It's either, well, I've tried that step before and it didn't work for me, so we're going to cross that one off. That was 15 years ago. Okay. Maybe we
Right.
should reconsider that step because you're not the same person you were 15 years ago and we could go about it differently. So, what would the first couple of steps look like? And if there's pushback, figuring out how those steps could happen. Is that something that you help people with, Dean, as they say, okay, let's look at what could be achieved and how we might measure it.
Yeah, sure. It's interesting. Every week in the men's mastermind group that I lead,
Mhm.
part of what we do at the end is kind of go around and everyone shares what they're going to try to change that week, what goal they're working on.
Mhm.
And so when we come back, we check progress with each other. Now, you do sometimes get people who are resistant.
Mhm.
And I think at that point, my approach is to try to make conscious what they're doing. I say,
Mhm.
so on one hand, it's confusing to me because on one hand you want to change, and on the other hand you don't want to do this thing that change requires.
Mhm.
And I think at that point the approach is to not push, but to back off and explore
Mhm.
what it is about this particular step that seems so scary or difficult or impossible.
Mhm.
Because I think one of the things that we need to say is that most people don't really fear change.
Mhm.
So a few months ago, the Indiana Powerball was at $536 million.
Oh my gosh.
Now, I think most people who, if they won $536 million, would not say, I need to turn that money down because it represents change and I can't handle that. Right? What
I
people
don't think I
actually,
want to drive a Ferrari. It just seems
right.
too fast.
What most people actually fear is loss.
Mhm.
And that is the reason that they undermine themselves or they resist taking those steps usually is that there is the possibility of some loss is implied in their mind in this, in whatever step they're trying to take. And that's why, you know, if change is easy, fast, and positive, like just somebody handing you $536 million,
Mhm.
most people don't resist it. But most
Yeah.
people will resist change that is slow, uncertain, and difficult because it implies a risk, which implies loss that most people are don't want to face the possibility of. And so when you get to that resistance, I think you have to really step back and ask, okay, so here's a risk. This is the possible loss. Let's assess how rational this is and how much of it is just part of a larger emotional pattern that you're using to imagine avoiding a loss that isn't even necessarily real.
I think walking through, you're so right about what are we letting go of if we move on to the new thing, and helping them weigh in balance. Is the new outcome that you want worth the changes that'll come, what you'll have to let go of to get it?
Right.
I know, Jonathan, you come across this as you're working with clients. I've heard in executive coaching, I really love the team I manage. I know I need to be vice president or director. That's the next rung up the ladder. I'm in my mid 30s, my early 40s. I'm in the window where if this is going to happen, I need to make it happen. But it looks like I have to leave the company to win that opportunity for that more money, that new title, that greater responsibility for me to progress my career. But I'm going to miss my team and I'm really good where I am. And so kind of manage, what are you letting go of? And is your new outcome worth it?
Yeah, and analyzing the risk, yeah,
Mm-hmm. The
it's
risk reward.
true.
Yeah.
Also, something that really helps with change,
Mm-hmm.
in my experience and for what I've seen, is having someone else, like in this case, it can be a coach, but it doesn't have to be necessarily a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Something that works wonders also is if you have like a somebody, let's say you have a goal or you want to change something about your personality, and
Mm-hmm.
then you make it public or like tell
Mm-hmm.
that to someone that you know has your best interest in mind,
Mm-hmm.
and they will make you accountable for that kickstart change. Because if
Mm-hmm.
you don't do it because of that day, you don't feel like doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have somebody else, like a spouse, a friend, somebody that's gonna come and poke you because of your own conscious choice,
Mm-hmm.
and they're gonna be like, "Hey," so it helps wonders.
Mm-hmm.
Having like having like a someone, in this case a coach, it's a great idea because usually it's a non-biased person, right?
Great.
We as like when I help someone,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't, and it's not like I want to be like their friends, so
Right.
I don't want to control their lives. I don't have
Right. You
no,
have they call that arm's length. You
yeah,
just have their best interest as a client. You don't have a vested interest in who they are or
exactly. So because of that reason, a coach, it's a great idea. Sometimes friends and family members, they can they can be biased towards what they like about you. They might not want to help you change
Mhm,
sometimes.
mhm.
So yeah, having a coach helping you with being more accountable, it's great. Also, breaking down the goal, it's key because you're going to discourage yourself. Yes, that I think that's a great point to highlight because
Mhm.
most of the times it's just the goal is so far
Right.
away that and anybody can fall for that because it can happen to anyone. I'm
You can
sure.
be overwhelmed, right, if you don't break it into segments,
Yes.
doable sections, and then be able to see, I'm like halfway there, so I should keep going. I've
Yeah.
invested my time, I'm halfway there.
It's like if you're a woman and
Hmm.
then you want to have a boyfriend
Hmm.
and you go out on one date and then you decide that it doesn't work and you're gonna give up forever. I'm like, mhm. There's That's a
Hmm.
great start.
Hmm.
Same for men. Let's say they want to lose 20 pounds and
Hmm.
they go to the gym
Hmm.
once, uh, or they go the whole week, but then they stop the whole year. So by
Hmm.
the time Christmas comes, because Christmas is going to come anyways, it's a cycle, right? So if the goal, just like you guys were saying earlier, if instead of going 7 days a week, you say, hey, the whole year I'm going to go twice a week, but like
Hmm.
every week 2 times,
Hmm.
it it's like a compounding interest. By the time you hit Christmas,
Yes.
unknowingly you're 20 pounds less, looking
Hmm.
great, just because the goal or the change do it was done in a gradual way, step
Hmm.
by step. So yeah, I can definitely help someone that wants to break a goal down, and also if their conscious mind is giving them so much trouble. Like I have seen this, for example, with people that are like heavy addictions, for example.
Hmm.
If somebody, I think one of the easiest one is a cigarette, for example.
Yes.
If
Hmm.
they wake up and the first thing they do is cigarettes before even coffee or like somewhere in between,
Hmm.
and they want to cut that down instead of like the whole package.
Hmm.
It's easy to go from the whole package to like three a day. That's a great start.
Hmm.
They don't sacrifice the whole thing, and it's like a gradual thing. Then
Hmm.
from three we can talk about two after a while. But like saying to yourself, from doing something to like I'm not doing it ever again, it's the wrong way to approach change.
Hmm.
It's like your whole biology is going to resist that. Even if you think about it when it comes to somebody else, like a spouse, a
Hmm.
friendship, your whole system is going to resist the idea because you are so close to that person, like let's say a family member. Uh,
Hmm.
you're going to miss even the physical contact also. So your whole body is going to be screaming in such a way that I think having help
Hmm.
is a great idea. So that's
Yeah.
what we are here
Yeah.
for.
I know cold turkey can work for some people. For some people, it's really their only way. Dean, I'm thinking about a woman carnivore coach who's been coaching this for like 10 years. Unusually, she has this outsized craving for sugar. And she said she can literally not put anything sweet in her mouth, not sweet fruit, not sugar-free sweetener, nothing sweet, because then she says it's like inviting a pet cat into her house. She has to feed it every day. It takes over. So for her, she has like this steel line. She had to cold turkey, nothing sweet. And then she had to stick to that. But most people don't have that response to addiction, but some people do. And so I think learning your way to do it, what are you letting go of? And is that compromise going to be okay with you? Allowing enough time and then, doing some research and getting some help. Like when they reach out and talk with you, Dean, about if I join your mastermind, what does that look like? Here's kind of what I want to achieve is hitting the mark every week with a group of other men talking about what they're trying to get done. How would that help me get there?
Yes, is there a question?
There is a question. So when people call you, That's part of their research. Is this
Oh,
coaching methodology like a mastermind and a once a
mhm.
week? Is that something that could work for me?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So how do you explore that with them when you say, well, let me find out what have you done in the past, or have you been part of a mastermind or gotten coaching before? Coaching is almost 30 years old as a profession. The vast majority of people I talk to have never had a coach outside of their baseball coach or their swimming coach, an athletic coach.
Right.
So researching even into talking with a coach about what do you want to achieve, and this is what a couple of our programs look like. So I imagine they call you in their stage of research to say, could this be a fit for me?
Yes, they do. And and I have multiple programs and I kind of walk through all of that. That
Hmm.
really, I start every coaching relationship with a sort of get to know you kind of call.
Hmm.
And I find that and maybe this is just the filtering mechanism by which people come to me, but I would
Hmm.
say if you're in a position and you've found some coach online that you've connected with somehow or whatever, that's probably a pretty good sense that you've been kind of something in you has led you to something in them.
Hmm.
And I find that the vast majority of people who by the time they get to a call with me, they've they've already kind of self-selected as a group.
Hmm.
I do tend to have like a profile of a client who ends up working with me. And
Hmm.
also just I will say once or twice I have had people come to me who clearly were not fit for me,
Hmm.
um, because they really needed some kind of psychiatric care, right?
Sure.
And
Mental health, actual
yes,
mental health. Yeah.
yes, and we're in a position where, due to their condition, they were not necessarily able to assess their own needs very clearly.
Hmm.
And so, in a sense, when you're a coach, telling someone, "No, you're not right for what I do," is also a way of helping them make positive change because you're helping them to make an assessment of their own, a more realistic assessment of their own needs, I think.
We talked in the beginning about accountability. I know, Jonathan, you're very clear with your clients about this, so am I. Well, okay, so we've identified that, I can help you, what you need to get done. But the question is, will you put in the time and the work? Like, this is what that's going to look like for you. If you don't put in the time and don't put in the work, you won't be happy with your results, and neither will I. So if you think you'll pay for this and then not do the work, we can skip it. It's like, because my results are your results. I can guide you, but you actually have to do the work. So it's not a matter of writing a check to the gym and hoping that the weight falls off or the muscles grow on their own. You actually have to show up and do the work. So do you have that conversation from time to time with Jonathan about here's my expectation as a coach of you, Mr. or Miss Client?
Uh, yes, and also I found out similarly with like uh, what Dean was saying.
Hmm.
Um, it's happened to me sometimes that I know that I'm not going to be the right fit for that particular
Hmm.
person, and it usually happens when they come. That is a specific kind of client when they
Hmm.
come and they are willing to pay.
Hmm.
But then they come with so many restrictions. It's like,
Hmm.
I'm going to pay you, but I know it's not going to work out. And I'm like, no, I don't want your money. If you're going to come with that mentality, you're not.
Hmm.
There is someone that is willing to take your monthly or
I'm not going to
you.
convince you to do something in your best interest. You have to be
Yes.
willing at the
Uh,
get-go. Yeah.
So yeah, I've had a lot of those. Like,
Hmm.
hey, let's do it, but it's not gonna. I'm like, well, no, that's
Yeah.
not how I roll, man. For
Hmm.
somebody there outside in the wild, they will take it. They will
Hmm.
gladly take your money. Um,
Hmm.
so to prevent that, yeah, I think having like a connection with the client is it's perfect. It's a great
Hmm.
start. Um, and understand, actually, one of the things is understanding why they want to change. Like why will somebody, because some changes happens to us, like for example, we age, so that happens to us, right? But some some changes, um, but some of other changes, we have to be like the creators of it.
The catalyst, yeah,
Have to like
to start it.
start the fire of that particular change. So I think that's when I come into play for a specific
Mhm.
kind of like my profile or somebody that I work perfectly with is it's someone that has already tried other kinds of things
Mhm.
and for whatever reason didn't work out
Mhm.
and they're looking for something more out of the ordinary.
And
Like
they're not giving
me,
up. They're not
yes,
giving up on achieving the change. They
and
continue.
yes, and having a like a open mind that
Mhm.
there has to be a way to like change something, or there has to be a way to improve that particular area of their lives. So not giving up, that's that's kind of like my thing. I'm like, we're not giving up. Let's try something different. Let's try this other approach.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, if somebody said some quote, I don't remember who, but you can post it. Um, that if you do like the same thing over and over again is the definition of insanity or something.
Yeah, that's Einstein.
Okay, so that guy was right. It's true. If
Yeah, yeah.
you want to change something, but then you want to keep doing the comfortable thing that you
Mhm.
have been doing because it's the way you are, so nothing is going to happen. So some exposure and yeah, you just gotta be a little, just a little brave. You don't have to start with such a huge change, but just you can start with small changes and see what happens.
I think it was Henry Ford, I may be wrong about the quote that says, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're correct.
Yes, that one was Ford. Yes.
Yeah, so it's like what kind of orientation? I know sometimes I'll ask the question, why now? Why are you ready now? So it's almost like convince me that you're ready. If I'm going to invest my time and my schedule and my effort, why does it make sense now if this has been true for a year or 10 years or whatever? And a lot of times circumstances have changed. I finally have more support at the job, so I'm not working so much overtime. The kids are out of the house. We've downsized. I no longer have this part-time business. I sold it. There's something else, a catalyst that allows for this gap in time and effort or the money to pay for the coaching. It's like, okay, so things have lined up for you that maybe this timing is right. But why now, I think is a good question to have them examine. Am I really ready for coaching readiness? Okay, well, how about if we look at some memes real quick and then I'll get last thoughts from you guys and find out how to get a hold of you. So share. Okay. So here at the bottom, the 1984 kid with a TV. The kid is small, but the TV's big. 2025, the kid is big, but the TV is skinny. So there's some changes. Okay, here's
That's
the
a
middle
great one.
one. Well, we have to get up and get going. Today's bad decisions aren't going to make themselves. And then the final one here. Sometimes when one door closes in life, another door opens. The first door says shit, and the second door says different shit. So, yeah, we have to have a direction. Change is not from the frying pan into the fire. If we work on the kind of change we want, that might be better than just anything is better than this and go into a change that's in fact not better.
Mm.
So, Dean, tell me how we get a hold of you, and do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, one thing I wanted to say is I think people change more easily when they have less pressure on themselves.
Mhm, mhm,
And that I do see people pressure themselves to the point where they can't successfully make the changes they want to make.
mhm,
So it's very important for people to say to themselves, I don't have to do this.
mhm,
And we live in a culture of optimization, but the
mhm.
truth is, most people don't have to optimize. We have millions of people who have comfortable jobs, living a comfortable life,
Mhm.
and it may be vaguely dissatisfying, but no one is going to require you to change unless it's your parole board or your angry spouse, you know, but there are very few people who are really in a position where immediate change is necessary to avoid terrible consequences. So
Mhm.
I think a lot of times people really what it is, they get into a kind of position where they really dislike who they are and they are looking to and pressuring themselves to change rapidly so that feeling will go away.
Yeah.
Mm.
And what really helps people is to know that you can change slowly in small ways, and you can still value that slow, small change and have that be a reflection of the new person, the new kind of person you're becoming,
Mhm.
rather than try to escape into this fantasy of like overnight becoming the kind of person you could be proud of.
Mhm. Mhm.
Used to people used to be able to find me on Twitter, at Dean Abbott, but last week that was hacked and stolen from me,
Yeah.
by
Wow.
a crypto scammer.
Yeah.
So I'm just make it clear I have nothing to do with crypto scams, and I don't want you to buy.
Well, you're working with Twitter to get that
Yes, I'm trying
restored.
to see
Yeah.
what can be done. So sometimes
Substack.
I am on Twitter at Dean Abbott.
Mhm.
I'm always at deanabbott.com and at alifedesign.org/Dean.
Oh, very good. Yes. Well, wonderful thoughts about that change. I know I sometimes work with overachievers because I resemble them. And so sometimes they always bite off more than they can chew. And our job is to try to narrow that down so that they can effectively get there. But you can have a lot of ambition and thrive on, pressure because it helps with your performance, or you can have less ambition. And I think dialing in the right way for you
Mm.
is the right answer. Having a coach keep you in the direction of where you want to go, not the frying pan, not the fire, but with the outcome that you desire, can help you get there with, some ease, some peace of mind, some confidence that you'll be making progress. So tell me, final thoughts, Jonathan, and how do we get a hold of you?
Yeah. Final thoughts. I was actually had this thought. If you're like a kid and you don't like change,
Mhm.
that can be like cute because you're a kid.
You're hanging on to that teddy bear. Yeah.
Yeah, that's adorable. But if you go past that stage and you're still alive, and then you become a teenager and then an adult,
Mhm.
full on, like grown up adult,
Mhm.
and you still don't like change, that's gonna be one of the most painful, ignorant decisions that you will be making because change is going to happen no matter what. So
Mhm.
it is a great idea
Mhm.
to understand that simple truth of life
Mhm.
as soon as possible. Maybe it's the first time that you're confronted with something's going to change all the time in your life. Um,
Mhm.
so taking responsibility so that you can plan ahead and actually control the things that you can control. There's a lot of things that you can actually manage.
Mhm.
Um, or at least taking care of your mind and your body. That's a 100% up like to you.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so yeah, not be terrified of change. If you're a man and you're wondering like,
Mhm.
should I am I should I make a change or not? Let's say if your grandma uh, is the only one telling you you're handsome, time to make a change, okay?
It might be necessary. Well, I think
Yeah,
that's
you
funny.
can find me on alifedesign.org.
Mhm.
Also, Jonathan Art Coaching on Instagram,
Mhm.
TikTok, and YouTube,
Mhm.
and via email at jonathanrcoaching@gmail.com.
Oh, great. Thank you. Well, we have a number of courses. We have a course from one of our coaches about navigating change. And so I'll put the link to that. below, and how to get a hold of you and your YouTube channel and so on. I really think it's helpful. Change is going to happen to all of us, but we can consciously engage in it in a way that's not as disruptive.
And
And, we can also give you some insight into how you navigate change. So from this point forward, you know how is best for you to do, because there'll be more changes after this one.
yes,
And after that one, more changes will come. It was great to talk to you guys about this today. Thanks so much for joining me. Thanks everyone too. And we'll see you all next time.